So I think we can start. My name is Alberto Barauso, for those who don't know me. I work here in the Department of Biology in Padua. I'm an ecologist. So we decided to merge the two round tables in this afternoon because we thought we would be nice to discuss what brings you and us together. I mean, you doing research on biodiversity, okay? The point we would like to discuss with you to make a roundtable about is exactly the synthesis, okay, what we have in common, because we're looking at your posters, at your presentations, although I didn't see them all. Of course, what each of you is looking for is diversity, okay? You're looking for diversity in terrestrial systems, in aquatic systems, in land, in sea, diversity in the lab, diversity using museum data, diversity using field data, and of course you're looking at that diversity from many different perspectives. There is, of course, people doing the hard job of monitoring in the field, the hard and fun job of monitoring the field. There is people doing theory. There is people working on management or restoration, on valorization. And what we are actually doing is look at diversity, so differences, okay, if you want to see it like that. But a question for a round table and also for a big, let's say, project like the one you're involved in is, can we make some sort of synthesis of what brings you as a researcher on biodiversity together? So what are the key questions that we as researchers on biodiversity should try to answer? What is the synthesis of all of this? So my question for this discussion is, what are the key questions, the 3-4 key questions that we could try to answer or that are common part of your research projects?
Nothing less.
Okay, it's a hard question, so you have to think a little bit about this.
No opinion. You know, it's really important to try to answer to Alberto's question, because according to the key question, then of course we will have the future development of the main or at least the main road that we think will be important to go. Very shy. They are not shy, in fact. They have asked a very nice question during the oral presentation, and also they raised very challenging opinion in the roundtable of this morning. So, Manuel, I want to say something excellent.
Hey guys, I guess I just wanted to kick off. I don't know, just a thought of some roundtables. I guess I could feel a little bit of also frustration from how much we're doing as researchers, but also, you know, and then, well, we're just thinking about the engagement and just simply the changing a little bit of the way we see biodiversity, and people, society perceives biodiversity. And yeah, I think one of the key, from all this, I guess I can see that we really want to start talking about biodiversity every day with everyone, and I don't know, I was just kicking that off, and I don't know, because some points of, I guess, like I say frustration, because some people have a tough time to explain what we're doing. there is still a lot of like misconceptions about what we're doing, and I guess that our generation should take that and embrace everyone and actually engage everyone in talking about biodiversity a bit more, and and stepping outside what we our fields and our discussions as researchers. And I don't know, just a flow of conscience here, and also to break the silence a little bit. Okay, your turn, lads. Okay.
One question that can arise from considering the society as a whole is how can we give, as also was emerging in the round table this morning, a value of the biodiversity? How can we translate the species that we have on the list on an Excel file to something that can be understood from many people? And this can be one question for the part of the society. As researchers, like among us, maybe how can we be more efficient in the monitoring to be able also to really count all the organisms that can be found for example, in this case, in our nation. But maybe it can be a starting point to develop new methods to be also more efficient in the monitoring, and that's it.
Thank you. And I think that we should try to give value to something that doesn't give economical value. Like, for example, I take an example that which I work with, like, for example, taxonomy. One word that we listen a lot of time in these days, and also in other sessions, in other congresses, and it's very difficult to translate this kind of knowledge of the biodiversity into something that people that are not scientists understand as a value. So I think this, not only taxonomy, also other aspects of our work need really to be transformed into something that people understand. So we are all working a lot and very hard to research, to what we are doing every day. But I think that also the what we call the third mission is very, very, very important. So to disseminate and to make people understand what we are doing. And in this way, it will be also easier to continue this work in the next years.
Hello, everyone. I don't want to repeat myself also because we had a discussion this morning, and I talked also with Fabio in the coffee break concerning valuing what we are doing now. I mean, it's something that I'm struggling a lot in my research because I'm studying like how to give an economic value to ecosystem services, but natural in the broader picture. But I really would like to could be interesting to hear the voice from you on the ethical reasons behind valuing nature. Because on one side, I mean, I work with companies that want to know, that want to quantify their benefits or not in their companies. I mean, in economic terms, no? Because it's really important for them in understanding which are their benefits, either their losses in economic terms. But on the other hand, valuing nature can have, let's say, dark sides. As I said you this morning, I'm thinking about the carbon credit markets that didn't work. For biodiversity, there is a debate related to put or not these credits also on biodiversity. From my point of view, it's not the way that we have to follow, but I don't know. So yes, my question to the audience is, what do you think about valuing nature, valuing natural capital? So giving a price to water, for instance, is it correct or not? I don't know if you are interested in this topic.
I would like to answer to, I mean, in my personal vision, which is very, very subjective, very personal, it has also to see with my ethical values. I don't think that giving monetary value to nature is correct, but you need to do that, because if not, I mean, I don't see any other way out. Also, when I don't know, a very stupid example, but sometimes you have a beautiful garden and a beautiful tree inside this garden, but this tree somehow is annoying because it produces a lot of like fruits that then make dirty the paving. I don't know, and then so the owner of the garden wants to like get rid of this tree, but how much that tree took to be there. And I don't know, sometimes it's like we cannot really account for all the years that big tree took for growth there and to establish connection with the fungi, with microbes, with birds and whatsoever. So to make the owner understand the value of the tree, you need to tell him, do you know you're going to lose 20,000 euros if you're cutting this tree? I don't know, this is a very stupid example, but maybe the owner would change his mind.
May I just add something on this? Are we used to give a value, or we need to give a value? Because I think that we are used to give a value to things, to consider them. And so that's my idea. And I also would like to point out, because I'm very happy that this thing came out, because you before say something about the companies, because in the center there are some researchers that are looking to ways to give value to biodiversity, and that's it. Reply that.
No, so I totally agree with you, but from my point of view, we have to distinguish between pricing and valuing, because are two different things. Because valuing can really help in the project manager, for instance, in understanding, which are the costs and benefits. So, for instance, if we take into account in the accounting of whatever ecosystem services or whatever, that should, from my point of view, that should be the way. But on the other side, when we value, since we live in a neoliberal society where free market and so on, I don't want to enter in this philosophic debate because it's not the case, but it can happen that giving a value, the immediate effect is to give a price on this. And if we give a price, from my point of view, it can happen really not good things. Like, for instance, I want to repeat the CO2 market and other things, I don't know. So yeah, we need to distinguish between pricing and valuing, from my point of view.
I think that there is absolutely no need. I think all of us understand that there is a very big importance to sensibilizing the citizens and to talk to their soul while we're talking about how conservation is important. But at the same time, you know, we have all seen how putting €1 in a shopping cart makes miracles, to how everyone sees like the order and how everyone tries to keep the order to things. So I think it's very important also to talk to people, not only from the point of view of valorization in general, but also on how it will affect you personally. So talking about like putting a monetary value, I think what is also important is to talk to people the language that they understand, the language of maybe sometimes their struggle of every day, and not talking about this thing will cost our country billions of dollars. No, this thing will cost you this certain amount maybe. It will affect you personally this way. Because at the end of the day, when a person maybe hears something like, well, this thing is not that ecological, for example, this certain country is fined by European Union for not following this and this and this ecological concepts, well, the certain citizen says, well, that's not my problem. My problem right now is to come at the end of the month and try to have some money, you know. So I think it's very important to talk to every person personally, to speak their language, and sometimes it's the language of money, and sometimes we will be more fortunate and it will be, I think, the language of taking nurturing care of our nature and what surrounds us.
Yeah, great intervention, Marina. Great stuff. Yeah, just working on that. Yeah, just thinking on what Marina said. Yeah, it's definitely, yeah, we have to account that money counts at the end of the month for many people. The people have to make ends meet. I guess also the part of the valuing, giving value to nature and to biodiversity also. I had time to think and to process what that frustration I was talking about was, and also is because we have to understand how people feel proud and how much they feel proud about their biodiversity in Italy. I guess this comes also, and I'm pretty biased maybe because I lived for a long time in the UK, and they really, they found pride in so much in their nature even, and I lived in Northern Ireland, so even actually Northern Ireland is one of the most nature deprived country in Europe. That's what we always said, but I met people, they valued so much what the little they have. And so I don't know if I haven't met many people in Italy talking about how cool nature is in their land around them. And so I guess also wrapping up, we should also see the social capital, what we're contributing, and something that we kind of really value with prize, but simply, we should start asking people, do you think this little insect or centipede is cool? And do you what's intrinsic value in what you're seeing and what you're witnessing? And so I guess, I don't know, also, an open question to you. Are you also considering to include that in evaluation? So when of how we can make an impact on both our economy and also the society in that terms. Just throwing it out there. Yeah.
If I can follow up. Sorry, can I go?
Okay. I think I didn't get your precise question, so can you repeat it? What did you take on account?
No, simply, I don't know, maybe looking at it under the academic, with the academic eye, are we studying also, are we listening to people and from local communities, very much a grassroots approach, I guess, are we involving them in discussions? Are we listening to what they actually value? And just simply, listening to what they want us to do for them.
Yes, in the presentation of this morning, I didn't have the time of going into detail of all the different economic valuation approaches that there exist, but yes, there are some techniques based on questionnaires and with the willingness to pay and willingness to accept a loss or a gain in an ecosystem service. So, and also on the perception of consumer, of people. I don't like the word consumer, but it is. And so yes, there are many studies that include the perception of people in the final valuation of the ecosystem service or the natural capital or whatever. But of course, it's really time consuming, And from an economic perspective, I would say that this is the most favorite way of doing an economic valuation, because it's the more realistic, because it's really based on the perception of people, but at the same time it depends what you are valuing and how much you are valuing. Because I don't know, there are one of the most important study on this is an article by Robert Costanza, if you are interested in, and that he did an estimation of the global GDP in terms of ecosystem services. So of course, when you take into account the GDP of the entire Earth, taking into account ecosystem services, you cannot do this kind of, you cannot use this kind of approaches. But at a local level, at project level, of course, from my point of view, it's the way that we have to do this kind of estimation, absolutely, yes. I don't know if, okay.
If I can follow up your question and try to merge the point you brought out, I think that we basically all agree that nature has an intrinsic value, and we are discussing whether trying to give a monetary value to nature is useful or is it right at the beginning of it. I think that one of the possible ways to make other people understand is how important nature is just by experiencing it, making a physical experience of how marvelous nature is. Because if we are thinking too much, or which is the best way to talk to people in an economic way, we are simply, I don't know, how can I say, using probably not the best possible tool. We might think that that is the best possible tool, but I think that having an experience of nature can change the point of view of anyone. Probably not of Mr. Trump, just to say one. I don't think people of that caliber can, I don't know, I don't want to say bad things, but I don't think they have the heart to appreciate nature. But I think that everyone seeing the marvelous that nature has can really change the point of view of a person. They might not even be able to understand what in terms of monetary value they will lose or benefit from nature in many in different kinds of way. But if we can make them understand and show them and make them feel how light the breeze of a spring day is, they might even think, well, I can rely on something I actively felt to understand what nature is and why we should preserve it. I don't know if this is just a elucubration provided by probably a bias, but I think that getting back to earth and putting hands in the dirt can really change the point of view of a person.
If I am understanding, a major point that is emerging from your opinion is we have a big problem of communication. So is this one of the major questions, how to communicate the value of biodiversity, how to enlarge the community of persons that appreciate, respect, and then, of course, preserve biodiversity? Is this one of your questions?
Can I add something? So it surprised to me that what brings you together is not natural science, but I would agree it is frustration, or put it on the bright side, it is desire to contribute to change, which is something that is dealing, of course, with the research you're doing, but also with communication, participation, interdisciplinary research, psychology. So, yeah. So understanding how your research contributes to society. And I think that if we ask this question to researchers of your age, 30 years ago, it would have not been like this. So this is a big change in research. So the stereotype of lab rat, it is wrong. So you're demonstrating it is wrong. So the question is, do we have the tools for this communication, for contributing to achieve this change that you all seem to care so much about? Do you feel you have the tools?
I have a question. Sorry. I'm Vincenzo, and in these 2 days I see a lot of focus on researchers and startups and firms. But I see that the main problem is the making money and how to make the natural NBFC how to make NBFC during a lot of years and time. So I think that one thing that can help is to engage not only researchers and firm, but also funds, because I think that the main problem is the money, because I think that we have the PNRR, but in the next year it will end, and we need to find a way to engage and to reach attention not only on the critic mass, but also on several funds, for example, climate funds, and maybe something that engage not only older researcher, but also young researcher. For example, creating an event that is engaging all these three actors in order to talk to each other and in trying to tell how biodiversity can change the future and how funds and firms can put on the table and create something real.
I'd like to add like my opinion to this discussion, which I enjoyed so far. So my personal view of distinguishing pricing and valuing is that I think that like giving a price to a thing is, let's say, objective, at least in the world that we are living in. And instead, valuing is more subjective. And I think that people can give a high value to something they are like affectionate to or attached to. And this is very important, especially from a communication point of view. Because, for example, going back to the example that she made earlier, I don't know her name. So if the owner of that land is attached for some reason, personal reasons, to the tree, he wouldn't cut it, even though the tree is making a mess in the garden. If that tree is related to his personal childhood or history, he would be attached to that tree, and he would give a high value to the tree. So I think this is a crucial point, because, for example, if we think about like local communities, and they are usually very attached to their land, their rivers, their mountains. And this happens everywhere. It can happen even in cities. Like, they can be attached to the park next to their house because they go there with their children, for example. So they make good memories. And this is very important when you try to communicate science, because you need to engage people. Like, you need to make them feel emotional. So they wouldn't care about like presentations that just enlist money, pricing, that wouldn't go to their heart. Even if it's like very, it goes, I mean, it points to that pocket, but not to their heart. So that wouldn't work. So that's why we're not it's just a tentative, let's say, but in designing communication projects, you try to make people emotional, so to engage them, for example, using other formats, which are not the common ones that we use in science. So, for example, movies, books, they are very important to convey these messages to people. Not like science books, but narrative books, not like fiction books. So all these formats are very important to make people more engaged. So this is, I think, my opinion in this issue, let's say.
Okay. Thank you, Chiara. You give me a wonderful assist about talking to people to their heart and not to their pocket. Because, well, it's important also to talk to their pocket, but if we talk to their heart and make them understand why all of this is important, is better than just give rules. For example, we as scientists know that we have to take some, we have to do some things, and if we oblige people to do that, I don't know. I don't know what example to do. But if something is just given from the above, don't giving a meaning to that. People don't want to do it. But if you make them understand, you talk to their heart, and they are more willing to do it. And we can do it with all the tools that you just proposed. But I also liked the idea of Vincenzo. But it has to be done just talking face to face with all these people at high level, with politicians, people, funds, like that. But also with I don't like to say normal people because we are all people, all the same, but not scientists and like that. And this has to be done, in my opinion, really face-to-face with events, but not events in which there is one person talking to a public, just face-to-face. Like, I don't know, I loved the poster session. Okay, we are all scientists and we are talking to each other in a scientific way, but talking also with other people in this way, in my opinion, would be very, very effective. And I don't know if someone agrees with me or have other ideas, please. Would be nice to hear it. Thank you.
Sorry, it's me again. Last time, I promise. No, just for, let's say, do the evil lawyer. I don't know if does it exist, this word, but yes, all these ideas are wonderful, of course. All these, the education, of course. We have to invest not money, but like ourselves in all of them. But unfortunately, and I want to say unfortunately, it's the market that is how can I say?
Rule the world.
Thank you so much. So, for instance, if we take the Biodiversity Future Center and how we can leave a legacy and how we can continue to get the funds for continue our research, we have to let them understand that we left a tangible benefit that can continue in the past, in the future. Of course, how to do that, that's the big question, and valuing, of course, it's one of the reasons, it's one of the possibility, but as I said,
so
it has a lot of side effects.
So we go back to the major point that she raised this morning. I don't know your name. Chiara. So how to deal and to talk with companies. That was a point that I appreciate a lot and that I consider important, because it's true that we have to talk with the people Earth, but there are part of the society, like the companies, in which we have to give to them criteria to evaluate, also in economic terms, the biodiversity conservation.
May I add one information that may be useful? The Biodiversity Science Gateway, I don't know if the Science Biodiversity Gateway or Biodiversity, well, the Biodiversity Gateway should do this legacy from the center to the society for the companies, for the policymakers, and well, yes, they should. That is his mission, so let's see.
We have just 5 minutes left, and it's very interesting, Alberto, because we ask a group of young scientists, in fact, to tell us what they consider the key question, and we expected scientific key question, and instead we are really happy about, about the room instead is concentrate in how to transmit a message, how to involve society in the value of biodiversity. It's true, is a generation quite different than the previous one, and I'm really pleased. It's a pleasure to stay with you, really a pleasure.
And I guess that when these things happen, it's good to know that we are not alone, okay? Because when you're in the lab, when you're in front of your computer and sampling and thinking about how to reach out and make your research relevant, you feel helpless. Well, right now you're in a context where everybody, I mean, most of you, I think, feel like that. And there are also tools that should be used to make your research relevant that you can use in this big project.
I would like to just quickly arise a problem, provided the fact that we now understand that it is important to talk to the heart. What should we do in the case of talking to the heart means talking about a completely transformed environment? Should we proceed in preserving a completely agricultural environment with little to no biodiversity, because it is the one that people grew up in? They feel attached to their land owned by their grandmothers. They want to preserve that little strip of land they worked on all their lives? Or should we try to go back to a more natural ecosystem, meaning that all the land should be basically erased and completely changed in favor of a more natural ecosystem?
Big question.
Yes, this just, I don't want to go outside of the topic or like just make confusion or going chaotic about the points we are raising here. One thing that I have found very interesting, and that came out of the mind of one of us, but probably she's not here in these days, but I met her in Palermo, and we were together in a round table, and she was suggesting, since, for example, for all the people working on taxonomy and working on like GB for like biodiversity database, what if citizens, people, are can get a reward if they do an observation in the database? If you are like getting a reward, may this reward be economic or I don't know, some like value points that have some specific meaning for that person, like, I don't know, experience point, for example. It doesn't matter the system in which we are moving, but it has to be a reward. And if the people get trained to do that properly, and if this person does the observation properly, then gets the reward. This system, I think, may really works because it engages people and people have a reward. Unfortunately, what has already been said, and I really love that we care and so much about biodiversity, about nature, and we are really sensitive to this. But I have met plenty of people that really don't care about this. So it's like, it's the value point that you have spoke about before. Not everyone in this world gives value to the same things. And now it's a good wave, because I think it's a good moment for talking about environment, talking about climate, because there is also like a kind of hype in the medias about this. But unfortunately, going emotional sometimes is just like a big frustration for you, that you feel so much about that, but others may not care about this. So yes, just another, like, I was speaking about companies before, but I don't think that companies are the only key. I think the public is still very important in what we are doing, because like the politics, the public, it's still something very important, especially for us, that we are all doing research and we are all working in a public sector, let's say. So it's as well as important as the companies. closing, wrapping up. So, but also citizens are super important. And this idea of rewarding, for example, observations into biodiversity database, I felt this idea could really change how people engage into this, and like rising the number of observation we have in a very distributed way all across the nation, because people get rewards.
Okay, thank you. I would like also to, I wouldn't say answer, but say something about the question that, about the problem that Eduardo exposed to us. And so if we have to go back to a totally natural environment, or if it's better to stay in what people remember about their childhood, you know, the agricultural environment like that. We have to think also that there is something that in sociology is called shifting baseline syndrome. So that we remember nature how it was when we were there, but we don't know how it was before. So I think one question that we should ask ourselves is how it was before. So how much do we have to go back to find that point in poor words, things started to go down, okay? So one scientific question could be, in my opinion, this one, and also connecting what Eduardo said. We have to, sorry. Which was the point to which we have to go back to, okay? I'm talking about restoration, about also advancing scientific in knowledge about biodiversity, about everything. Okay, this could be, in my opinion, a question that we should try to answer. So, at what point we have to arrive? Which is our goal, final goal? Thank you.
Yeah, here, Alessio from the University of Siena. I just want to add something about the comments that Chiara made before. I totally agree with what you said. Well, the central topic of this Congress is biodiversity, right? So it contains the word diversity, and this is valid also for our as a society. So we have to deal with the fact that not everyone just simply have interest in these kind of topics, or maybe they could have it if we are in a situation of real and instant danger. For example, let's begin a citizen science project about bee observation if the day after we will run out of honey, for example. So in that case, we will have the maximum engagement probably possible. I would just want to bring you an example, because me with my colleague Chiara are running a citizen science project within the NBFC about biodiversity conservation and monitoring, and we have like different aspects, different kind of monitorings. I'm a chemist, so I'm more on the freshwater chemical quality monitoring, and in that case we are dealing with citizens, okay, and we encounter many difficult to engage people because we have to reach on the territory different local associations, so even the communication is very fragmented, right? And in the other case, I ran a project with a big company. I don't know if I can make the name. Okay, make it Prada Group, okay, in the Valdarno region, which contains several factors, which is in between the Arezzo and Florence provinces. In that case, the engagement was really, really easier because there was a unique communication channel to engage people to take part in this citizen science project about freshwater quality monitoring. And well, the fact that the company enters into this process allows for a better engagement, because the company can offer practical things like the corporate volunteering. That is, that the company offers to the workers some hours. Of course, these hours are paid by the company to participate to that kind of activity. And in this case, we succeed in engage like 110 people in this project, against the more or less 20 that we engaged in our project. So yeah, we didn't have give them any rewards. So companies need to enter in this process, because they have more practical things to offer with respect to personal initiatives.
Okay, so we were discussing with Mariella, and now we have to close, but our final consideration is that it didn't feel like we were in a scientist room, okay, during this talk. And so we found out that what brings us together is our will, our desire to make what we do relevant society-wise. Okay, so I would like to close with a question, a reflection that you can think about later. So, who's the burden of engagement? I mean, with economists, social scientists, psychologists, historians. I mean, with all these people with so very different languages and backgrounds than you. I think the burden lies with you, because I mean, if you have this sort of sensitivity and you have the scientific tools to understand what biodiversity is, how to measure it, how to, quantify the processes, how to even value it, the burden of going to speak with these other people is yours, even without a common language, with all the naivety that you can have. But I think it's a step that you have to take if you think this is really important.
Just to remind you that, at least for who is in the botanical garden for the first time, there is a guide waiting outside. It's raining a little bit, so maybe the guy you will decide to, under the rain or anyway, to visit the Botanic Museum. I must say that it's very, very interesting to listen to you and to interact with you. And it's very important for me that, I'm in charge of organizing the meeting with the PhD student, because this round table, both the this morning one and that one, I will report on the governance of the hub, the ideas and the indication that are coming out from you. So thank you again, and see you. See you tomorrow morning.
Going from very important stuff to very low stuff, they told me that there are some cookies left. So if you are hungry, there are some cookies left in the other room.
Oh, it's raining, but do we have a cookie left?